The note I left was simple. You forgot my birthday. I won't let you forget me. Petty? Maybe. But after 7 years of marriage, I deserved more than being excluded from my own house party. I'm Sonia, and this is how I finally stopped being the invisible backbone of the Dunn family empire. It started when I pulled into our driveway at 6 p.m., returning from a lonely dinner I treated myself to since no one had remembered my birthday. The first sign something was wrong was all the cars parked along our street. I recognized them all. Jake's mother's Mercedes, his sister Sophia's Range Rover, even his cousin's beat-up Volkswagen. Music drifted from our open windows, along with the sound of laughter and clinking glasses. My hands trembled as I turned off the ignition. Surely there had to be an explanation. Jake wouldn't throw a party on my birthday without me. Would he? I used my key to open the front door, and the noise hit me full force. Our living room was packed with Jake's family and friends, all holding drinks and chatting animatedly. A large banner hung across the fireplace. Congratulations on the Miller account, Jake. My husband stood in the center of it all, champagne glass raised, his mother Emerson's arm wrapped proudly around his shoulders. To my brilliant son, she was saying, who single-handedly landed the biggest client of the year. Single-handedly. Right. I had spent 3 months preparing that proposal, staying up until 2 a.m. most nights, researching every detail about Miller Industries while Jake played golf with his buddies. I had written every word of that presentation Jake had delivered. Sonia, Sophia spotted me first, her eyes widening. I didn't know you'd be here. The room fell quiet. Jake turned, his expression shifting from celebration to confusion. Honey, you're home early. I thought you had that thing tonight. That thing? I kept my voice steady. You mean my birthday dinner? Alone? Emerson's perfectly painted lips formed an O of false surprise. Oh dear, was that today? Jake, you should have said something. But Jake was already turning back to his guests, raising his glass again. Everyone, let's welcome my wife to the party. Come on, honey, grab a drink. We're celebrating. Jake, I said quietly, can we talk privately? He sighed, that familiar look of annoyance crossing his face. Not now, Sonia. We have guests. It'll just take a minute. I said not now. He snapped, then immediately softened his tone, aware of watching eyes. Just mingle, okay? We'll talk later. I stood there for a moment, watching him return to his admirers. 7 years of supporting him, of being the silent partner, of letting him take credit for my work. 7 years of his mother's subtle digs and his sister's two-faced friendship. 7 years of being invisible in my own home. I turned and walked upstairs, my heels clicking against the hardwood floors. In our bedroom, I pulled out my largest suitcase and began methodically packing my clothes. From my home office, I retrieved my laptop and the external hard drive containing all my work files, proposals, client lists, financial records, everything I had built for Jake's family business while letting him take the credit. The party continued downstairs, oblivious to my actions. I could hear Emerson's laugh, the same laugh she'd used when telling Jake he could do better than me at our wedding reception. My phone buzzed, a text from my friend Zuriel. Happy birthday. How's your day been? I typed back, can I stay with you for a while? Her response was immediate. Of course. Everything okay? It will be. I took one last look around the bedroom at the life I had let myself be pushed into the margins of. Then I picked up my suitcase, laptop bag, and purse. The party was in full swing as I walked down the stairs and straight out the front door. No one noticed. In my car, I took out a notepad and wrote my message. Simple, direct. 7 words that would make them remember me. I walked back to place it on the kitchen counter, where Jake would find it when the party was over. As I drove away, I caught a glimpse of our house in my rearview mirror. Through the windows, I could see shadows of people celebrating, raising their glasses to Jake's success built on my invisible foundation. But I wasn't invisible anymore. I was leaving and I was taking that foundation with me. Let's see how well their house stands without it. My phone buzzed again, Zuriel sending her address. I smiled, feeling lighter than I had in years. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about what you do to others, but what you do for yourself. And this was just the beginning. Zuriel's apartment felt like stepping into a different world. No pristine furniture chosen by my mother-in-law. No family photos of the perfect Dunn dynasty. Just comfortable chaos and the smell of coffee. Spill, Zuriel demanded, pushing a steaming mug into my hands. What happened? My phone buzzed for the 20th time. Jake again. I silenced it. They threw a party without me, on my birthday, to celebrate Jake's big account win. I took a sip of coffee, letting the warmth steady me. The account I basically handed to him on a silver platter. The Miller proposal? Zuriel's eyes widened. The one you've been killing yourself over for months? 3 months, 2 weeks, and 4 days. I pulled out my laptop, opening the files I'd brought with me. Look at this. Every presentation, every spreadsheet, every market analysis, all done by me. Jake just had to show up and smile. Zuriel leaned over my shoulder, scrolling through the documents. Holy shit, Sonia. This is everything. The entire business infrastructure. Funny thing about being invisible, I said, managing a small smile. People forget you're there. They leave their passwords lying around. They don't notice when you're copying files or learning their systems. My phone lit up again, this time with a text from Sophia. Where are you? Jake is freaking out. Mom's saying you're just being dramatic. Of course she is, I muttered, showing Zuriel the message. What are you going to do? Zuriel asked, settling onto her couch. You can stay here as long as you need, but I need a plan, I finished. I opened another folder on my laptop, this one containing something I'd been working on secretly for months. Remember Theo, Jake's old rival from business school? The one who started his own consulting firm? Yeah, why? He's been trying to expand into our market sector. 2 weeks ago, he reached out to me. Apparently, he'd heard through the grapevine who really runs the Dunn family business. Zuriel sat up straighter. Are you saying what I think you're saying? My phone buzzed again, an email this time from Lauren, my assistant at work. Mrs. Dunn, is everything okay? Mr. Dunn came in looking for you. He seems upset. I quickly typed back, Lauren, I need you to trust me. Don't tell anyone, but I won't be coming back to the office. Would you be interested in a new opportunity? You're going to start your own business, Zuriel said. It wasn't a question. With Theo's backing and Lauren's help? I nodded. I'm done being the ghostwriter of my own life. The doorbell rang, making us both jump. Through the peephole, I saw Jake, looking disheveled. Don't answer it, I whispered to Zuriel. Zuriel, Jake called out. I know Sonia's in there. Her car's outside. Baby, please, let's talk about this. Zuriel and I stayed silent, watching his shadow under the door. Fine, he shouted after a few minutes. Be childish, but we need those files, Sonia. The Miller presentation is next week, and you have all the data. I smiled grimly. Exactly. After Jake's footsteps faded, Zuriel turned to me. You really thought this through, didn't you? I've had 7 years to think it through. I opened my email and started composing a message to Theo. 7 years of watching Jake take credit for my work. 7 years of his mother treating me like an accessory. 7 years of being the silent partner in my own marriage. My phone lit up with Lauren's response. Whatever you're planning, I'm in. This place is chaos without you already. Perfect, I murmured. adding her to the email to Theo. You know they're going to fight back, Zuriel warned. Emerson won't let you just walk away with their business secrets. Let them try. I hit send on the email to Theo. I've got copies of every email where Jake took credit for my work, every meeting where he presented my ideas as his own, every client relationship I built while he played golf. And the Miller account? I closed my laptop with a satisfying click. Jake has exactly 6 days to either admit to Miller Industries that he can't do the presentation without me or try to fake his way through it and lose the biggest account of the year. Either way, I win. Zuriel raised her coffee mug in a toast to no longer being invisible. I clinked my mug against hers, feeling a surge of excitement replace the hurt and anger. To becoming unforgettable. My phone buzzed one final time. Theo's response, meeting tomorrow, 9 a.m. Let's talk about your future. For the first time since discovering the party, I felt myself truly smile. They wanted to celebrate Jake's success without me? Fine. Let's see how much success they have when the real architect of that success decides to build something of her own. Theo's office was everything the Dunn family business wasn't. Modern, open, and welcoming. No dark wood paneling or stuffy oil paintings of previous generations. Just clean lines and natural light. I have to admit, Theo said, leaning back in his chair, I've been waiting for this day. Jake never deserved the success you built for him. Lauren sat beside me, nervously adjusting her tablet. She'd arrived early, bringing with her a complete breakdown of our current client portfolio. The Miller presentation is in 5 days, I said, getting straight to business. Jake doesn't have access to the final documents, and trust me, he can't recreate them from memory. Theo's eyes sparkled. And you want to use that leverage. I want to build something of my own, I corrected him. The leverage is just a bonus. My phone buzzed, a text from Emerson. This childish behavior needs to stop. Come home and we can discuss your concerns, like adults. I showed the message to Lauren, who rolled her eyes. She called me this morning trying to get me to access your files. I told her I didn't have your passwords. But you do, I smiled. Of course I do, Lauren grinned back. I just don't have them for her. Theo spread out some papers on his desk. Here's what I'm proposing. We create a new consulting division under my company's umbrella. You'll have complete autonomy, your own team, and a significant equity stake. Lauren can come on as your operations manager. And Miller? I asked. We approach them directly. Show them who really developed their strategy. My phone rang. Jake this time. 4th call today. I declined it. He's getting desperate, Lauren noted. The Miller representatives have been calling all morning, asking for specific details about the implementation timeline. He keeps telling them you're under the weather. A new email popped up on my phone from Jake's lawyer. Subject line, cease and desist, confidential business information. Right on schedule, I muttered, opening the email. They're threatening legal action if I don't return all company documents and agree not to compete. Theo reached for the phone. May I? I handed it over, watching as he read the email, his smile growing wider. This is perfect, he said. They just admitted in writing that you possessed and created these materials. Makes it much easier to prove your contribution when we counter. Counter? Lauren asked. With evidence of intellectual property theft, I explained. Every time Jake presented my work as his own, he was essentially stealing it. I've documented everything. My phone buzzed again, Sophia this time. Mom's talking about calling the police. Please, Sonia, just come talk to us. The police? Lauren looked worried. Empty threat, Theo assured her. They won't involve law enforcement because they can't prove you didn't have authority to access those files. You were, after all, a key executive in the company. Not officially, I said bitterly. On paper, I was just Jake's wife who helped out sometimes, which makes their legal position even weaker, Theo pointed out. They can't claim you stole company secrets while also claiming you were just a housewife. A notification popped up on my laptop, an email from Miller Industries, requesting clarification on project leadership. Perfect timing, I smiled, opening the email. They're asking who will be handling their account going forward. Apparently, Jake's answers in their morning call weren't very convincing. What are you going to do? Lauren asked. I started typing. Dear Mr. Miller, I apologize for any confusion. As the architect of your proposed strategy, I want to inform you of some recent changes. They'll be furious, Lauren whispered. They already are, I replied, hitting send. Might as well give them a real reason. Theo stood up, walking to his office window. 5 years ago, Jake stole a major client from me, used inside information he got from a mutual friend. I lost millions. I remember, I said quietly. I'm the one who told him not to do it. And now, here we are. Theo turned back to us. Ready to sign the paperwork? I looked at Lauren, who nodded enthusiastically. Then at my phone, where messages from Jake, Emerson, and Sophia continued to pile up. Finally, at the contract Theo had prepared, offering me everything I'd earned but never received at the Dunn family business. One condition, I said, picking up the pen. We do this right. No shortcuts, no tricks, just better service, better strategies, and better leadership than they ever had. Of course, Theo agreed. The best revenge is massive success. As I signed my name, my phone lit up with a response from Miller Industries. Meeting requested to discuss transition of services. I looked at Lauren and Theo, my new team, and felt a surge of confidence. Shall we show them how it's really done? The answer was written in their matching smiles. The invisible woman was about to become impossible to ignore. Mrs. Miller is ready for you now, the receptionist announced, gesturing toward the corner office. 1 month had passed since I'd left Jake, and here I was, presenting to Miller Industries, this time under my own name. Lauren squeezed my arm supportively as we entered the office. Sonia, Mrs. Miller stood, extending her hand. I must say, your email certainly caught our attention, though not as much as your husband's. Interesting attempt at presenting your strategy last week. I kept my expression neutral. I apologize for any confusion during the transition. Confusion? Mrs. Miller laughed. The man couldn't explain basic concepts that were in his own proposal. That's when I knew something was wrong. She gestured to the chairs in front of her desk. Please sit. Tell me why I should trust you after this mess. I opened my laptop, pulling up the presentation I'd spent the last week refining. Because I'm going to show you exactly how I developed every aspect of this strategy, and then I'm going to improve it. 2 hours later, we walked out with a signed contract. Lauren was practically bouncing. Did you see her face when you broke down the market analysis? She couldn't believe Jake tried to pass that off as his work. My phone buzzed. A text from Zuriel. Emergency, come to my place now. What's wrong? I asked when we arrived at her apartment 20 minutes later. Zuriel pointed to her TV, where a local business news channel was running a story. Jake stood at a podium, Emerson by his side. Regret to announce that due to internal restructuring, Dunn Consulting will be scaling back operations temporarily, he was saying, looking haggard. We remain committed to our clients. They're losing accounts, Lauren whispered, scrolling through her phone. Not just Miller. 3 other major clients have jumped ship this week because Jake can't handle the workload without you, Zuriel added. And apparently, Emerson's attempts to step in are making things worse. My phone rang. Sophia. After a moment's hesitation, I answered. How could you do this to us? She demanded. Mom's talking about selling the beach house to keep the company afloat. I didn't do anything to you, Sophia. I just stopped doing everything for you. The Miller account was worth millions, and now they're gone, along with half our client base. They're gone because Jake couldn't deliver what he promised. I replied calmly. Maybe he should have thought about that before taking credit for my work all these years. Mom wants to sue you, Sophia warned. She's meeting with lawyers right now. Good luck with that. I ended the call, turning back to the TV where Jake was still speaking. Look at him, Lauren marveled. He really thought he could handle it all without you. He thought I would come crawling back, I corrected her. They all did. That's why they started with threats instead of apologies. My laptop pinged. An email from Theo. 3 more clients requesting meetings. Your reputation is spreading. How soon can you start expanding the team? Speaking of expanding, Lauren said, pulling out her tablet. Remember Thomas from accounting? He reached out, says he's tired of Emerson's micromanaging and wants to join us. I smiled. Set up a meeting. They're going to call it poaching, Zuriel warned. They can call it whatever they want. I'm not stopping anyone from staying with them. I'm just offering a better option. My phone buzzed again. An email from Emerson's lawyer, marked urgent. I opened it, reading aloud. Cease and desist all communication with Dunn Consulting clients and employees. Immediate legal action. Damages? Lauren snorted. They do realize most of those clients are reaching out to us, right? They're desperate, Zuriel observed. The company's been running on your work for so long, they don't know how to function without it. Another news alert popped up on my phone. Dunn Consulting stock drops 30% amid client exodus. You know what the funny thing is, I said, watching Jake's strained face on TV. All they had to do was appreciate me. One birthday remembered, one honest acknowledgement of my contributions. But they didn't, Lauren finished, and now they're learning the hard way. My phone lit up with a new message from Mrs. Miller. Excellent presentation today. Looking forward to working with the real brains behind the operation. I showed the message to Lauren and Zuriel, feeling a surge of pride. No more hiding in the shadows. No more letting others take credit for my success. To the real brains, Zuriel raised her coffee mug in a toast. Lauren raised hers, too. And to the Dunns finally getting exactly what they deserve. I joined their toast, watching Jake's press conference end on TV. He looked lost, overwhelmed. Exactly how he should have felt all those years he was presenting my work as his own. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying others. Sometimes it's simply about claiming what was yours all along. The cafe was crowded, but I spotted Emerson immediately. She sat ramrod straight at a corner table, her designer handbag placed precisely in front of her. 2 months had aged her noticeably. Sonia, she said as I approached, thank you for meeting me. I sat down, noting the slight tremor in her perfectly manicured hands. You said it was important. It's about Jake, she began, then paused as the waiter approached. Just water, thank you. Americano for me, I said, then turned back to her. What about Jake? He's struggling. The business is falling apart. He's not sleeping, barely eating. She leaned forward. We need you back. You need me back, I corrected. There's a difference. I'm willing to offer you a formal position, Executive Vice President, with full credit for your work going forward. And, she swallowed hard, a public acknowledgement of your past contributions. My phone buzzed, Lauren sending our latest client acquisition numbers. I showed them to Emerson, watching her face fall. Your company has lost 60% of its value, I said quietly. Meanwhile, my division at Theo's firm has tripled in size. Why would I go back? Because it's your family, she snapped, then quickly composed herself. We're your family, Sonia. Family? I laughed. You've spent 7 years treating me like an unwanted house guest. You couldn't even remember my birthday. That was a mistake. No, I cut her off. A mistake is buying the wrong gift. What all of you did, was show me exactly where I stood in the family hierarchy. The waiter brought our drinks. I took a sip of my coffee, watching Emerson's carefully constructed facade crack. There's something else, she said finally. Something Jake doesn't know I found. She pulled out an envelope, sliding it across the table. Inside were printed emails, dozens of them, between Jake and his ex-girlfriend from 2 years ago. He was planning to leave you, Emerson said softly, but then you landed the Patterson account, and he realized how valuable you were to the business. My hands shook as I read the messages. Jake discussing divorce plans, calculating how to protect the company, his ex offering to help him get rid of the dead weight. Why are you showing me this? Because I stopped him, Emerson said. I convinced him that you were an asset we couldn't lose. I protected you. I stared at her, realization dawning. You protected the business, not me. You knew I was doing all the work, and you were afraid of losing that. I made a choice that benefited everyone. You made a choice to keep me in the dark, working for a husband who wanted to divorce me, while you all took credit for my success. I stood up, gathering the emails. Thank you for these. They'll make excellent evidence in the divorce proceedings. Divorce? Emerson paled. But I'm offering you everything you wanted. Recognition, power, your name on the door. No, I said, pulling out my phone to show her our company website. I already have my name on a door, one I built myself. My phone buzzed again. A message from Jake. Mom told me she's meeting you. Please come home. We can fix this. I showed Emerson the message. Does he know you're showing me these emails? She looked away. I'm doing what needs to be done to save our company. Your company, I corrected her, and you're not trying to save it. You're trying to save yourself. How many loans have you personally guaranteed? Her silence was answer enough. That's what I thought. I gathered my things. Thank you for the emails, Emerson, and for finally showing me the truth about my family. Wait, she called as I turned to leave. What are you going to do? I looked back at her, this woman who had orchestrated my imprisonment in a loveless marriage for the sake of profit. I'm going to do what you taught me to do, protect my interests. Outside, I called Lauren. Remember that expansion plan we discussed? Let's accelerate it and call our lawyer. I'm filing for divorce. Are you okay? She asked. I looked through the cafe window at Emerson, now frantically typing on her phone, probably warning Jake. I'm better than okay. I'm finally free. My phone lit up with another message, this one from Theo. Major investment firm wants to meet. They're impressed with our growth. I smiled, thinking of the emails in my bag. Sometimes the universe has a way of revealing truths at exactly the right moment. Emerson had tried to play her last card, but all she'd done was give me the final push I needed. Time to show them what the dead weight could really do. Jake was waiting outside my office building when I left work. 3 months since I'd last seen him, and he looked like he'd aged years. His usually immaculate suit was wrinkled, his hair unkempt. We need to talk, he said, stepping forward, about the emails Mom showed you. There's nothing to talk about. I tried to walk past him, but he blocked my path. I never sent them, he blurted out. Those emails to Rebecca, I drafted them but never sent them. Mom found them in my deleted folder. I laughed, the sound harsh in the evening air. That's your defense? That you only thought about leaving me while taking credit for my work? I was scared, he admitted. You were becoming so essential to everything, and I felt redundant. Rebecca reached out at a weak moment. Mr. Dunn, Lauren's voice cut through the tension. She stood in the doorway, phone in hand. Should I call security? Jake raised his hands. No need, I just want 5 minutes. Please, Sonia. I nodded to Lauren. It's okay, I'll handle this. We walked to the small park across the street, the same park where we'd once planned our future during lunch breaks, before I became his ghostwriter instead of his partner. The company's failing, he said, sitting heavily on a bench. Mom's leveraged everything trying to keep it afloat. The beach house, her retirement fund. I know, Sophia told me. We had an offer this morning, hostile takeover. He ran his hands through his hair. They know we're vulnerable without you. My phone buzzed. Theo sending the latest market analysis. Our firm had just landed another major client, one that used to be Jake's. What do you want from me, Jake? Come back, he said quickly. Not as my wife if you don't want to, but as a full partner. 50-50 split. Your name on everything. Like the Miller presentation? I asked sharply. Or the Patterson account? Or any of the other deals you took credit for? I was wrong, he admitted. I got used to the praise, to being the golden boy. It was easier to let everyone think I was the genius. While I worked until midnight, missing dinners, events, my own life. I know, God, I know. He turned to face me. But I loved you, Sonia. I still do. I pulled out my phone, opening the photos I'd saved of his emails to Rebecca. Dead weight was the term you used. Holding you back from your true potential. I was an idiot. No, I cut him off. You were honest. For once in our marriage, those emails showed exactly what you thought of me. A notification popped up on my phone, the investment firm Theo had mentioned, confirming tomorrow's meeting. They were interested in backing our expansion into international markets. You're really doing it, aren't you? Jake said, noticing my small smile. Building your own empire? The difference is, I'm building it honestly. Every success, every failure, they're really mine. And ours were really yours too, he said quietly. All of them. I just took the applause. Lauren appeared at the park entrance, pointing at her watch. We had a client dinner in 30 minutes. I have to go. I stood up. The divorce papers are with your lawyer. Sign them, Jake. Let me go. And the company? Keep it. Or sell it. That's not my problem anymore. He grabbed my arm as I turned to leave. What about your clients? The ones who've known us for years? They knew me. I corrected him, pulling free. They just didn't know it was me. Now they do. Sonia, please. You want to know the saddest part? I interrupted. If you had just remembered my birthday, if any of you had, I might still be there, still working in the shadows. But you couldn't even give me that one day. I'll make it right, he promised. Whatever it takes. You already did, I said, walking away. You showed me exactly what I'm worth, by showing me what you're worth without me. Lauren met me at the park entrance. Everything okay? I looked back at Jake, still sitting on the bench, head in his hands. The golden boy who'd built his success on my invisible foundation. Now he knew what it felt like to be the invisible one. Everything's perfect, I replied. What time is the dinner? 7. And Theo called. The investment firm's bringing their full board tomorrow. They're very interested in your vision for international expansion. My phone buzzed one last time. A text from Sophia. Jake told me about the takeover offer. Please help us. I deleted it without responding. They'd had 7 years of my help. Now it was time to help myself. Let's go show them what visible leadership looks like, I said to Lauren, walking toward our waiting car. Behind us, Jake remained on the bench, watching his empire crumble while mine rose from its ashes. The boardroom fell silent as I finished my presentation. 6 months had passed since I'd left Jake, and here I was, presenting to the investment firm's board, this time as CEO of my own division. Impressive numbers, the lead investor said, studying the quarterly reports. You've managed to capture 40% of your previous company's market share in just half a year, along with expanding into 3 new sectors, Theo added proudly. My phone buzzed, a news alert about Dunn Consulting. I quickly scanned it under the table. Major family business faces bankruptcy. Dunn Consulting to auction office assets. Ms. Sonia, another board member leaned forward. There are rumors that your former company is facing liquidation. Any comments? Before I could answer, Lauren burst into the room. Sorry to interrupt, but you need to see this. She handed me her tablet, displaying a live video feed from outside Dunn Consulting's headquarters. Emerson stood at a podium, makeup perfectly applied despite her obvious distress. Regretfully announcing the closure of Dunn Consulting, she was saying. However, we have one final statement to make. She paused, looking directly into the camera. Sonia, if you're watching this, we were wrong. All of us. The success of this company was built on your work, your dedication, and your brilliance. I should have acknowledged that long ago. The board members watched intently as I set the tablet down. A bit late for recognition, isn't it? One of them commented. 6 months too late, I agreed, then turned back to my presentation. Now, about our international expansion plans. After the meeting, Lauren caught up with me in my office. They're offering us the full investment package. Theo's already reviewing the terms. Good, I nodded, then noticed her hesitation. What else? Jake's downstairs. Says he won't leave until you talk to him. I sighed, looking out my office window. Sure enough, Jake stood by the entrance, still in his suit but looking decidedly less polished than in his glory days. Send him up. Minutes later, Jake walked in, clutching a familiar leather portfolio, the one I'd used for years to prepare his presentations. I found this in my office while we were packing up, he said, placing it on my desk. All your original notes, your strategies. I never even read them properly before, just skimmed enough to present them as mine. Why are you here, Jake? The bankruptcy paperwork is being filed tomorrow. He sat heavily in the chair across from me. Mom's lost everything trying to save the company. Sophia's husband is talking about divorce because she guaranteed some of the loans. And you want me to help? Again? No, he said quietly. I want to apologize, really apologize, not just because we're desperate. He pulled out an envelope. I signed the divorce papers. You're free. My phone buzzed. Another news alert. Dunn family assets frozen pending investigation. Investigation? I looked up at Jake. Mom's creative accounting is coming to light, he admitted. Turns out she's been hiding losses for years, even before you left. That's why she pushed me so hard to keep you around. You were the only thing keeping us profitable. Lauren appeared in the doorway. Sorry to interrupt, but Mrs. Miller is on line 1. Says it's urgent. I picked up the phone, putting it on speaker. Mrs. Miller, what can I do for you? I just watched Emerson's press conference, she said. I wanted you to know, every client who moved their business to you, we talk. We all knew you were the real talent. We were just waiting for you to realize it too. Jake flinched at her words. After ending the call, I opened the leather portfolio. Inside were years of my work, my ideas, my success, all credited to others. You know what the worst part was? I said to Jake. I would have shared the credit. If you just acknowledged me as a partner instead of a prop, I would have stayed. I know that now. He stood up. For what it's worth, I really am proud of what you've built here. You deserve it all. As he reached the door, he turned back. Oh, and Sonia, happy birthday. It's today, right? I finally remembered. I waited until he left before opening my desk drawer, pulling out the birthday card Zuriel had given me that morning. Inside, she'd written, "To the woman who turned invisibility into invincibility." My phone lit up with a message from Theo. Board approved the full investment. Ready to go global? Lauren poked her head in. Should I send out the press release about the investment? I looked at the leather portfolio, then at the signed divorce papers, finally at the news headlines about the Dunn family's fall from grace. Yes, I said, standing up. But add one line. This expansion is dedicated to every person who's ever been invisible in their own success story. Lauren smiled. Perfect. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying your enemies. Sometimes it's about building yourself up so high that they can't help but see you, even if they're looking up from rock bottom. And sometimes the greatest birthday gift you can give yourself is the power to write your own story. The autumn breeze carried the scent of coffee from the new cafe across the street as I walked into my office building. The lobby's wall-mounted TV displayed the business news. Rising star CEO named Business Leader of the Year. They used your good photo, Lauren teased, falling into step beside me. The one where you're not smiling like you're plotting someone's downfall. I never plot downfalls, I protested. They manage that perfectly well on their own. My phone buzzed. Sophia requesting a meeting. Again. She's persistent, Lauren noted, reading over my shoulder. Third time this week. Fourth, I corrected. She cornered me at the grocery store yesterday. The elevator opened to reveal Theo waiting in my office. Have you seen today's business journal? He handed me the magazine. There on the cover was a photo of me standing in front of our new headquarters, arms crossed, looking exactly like someone plotting downfalls. The headline read, The Invisible Empire, How One Woman Turned Corporate Shadows into Spotlight Success. Page 16, Theo said, grinning. I flipped to it and found a familiar face. Emerson being escorted from court in handcuffs. The article detailed her conviction for financial fraud and embezzlement. Hard to believe she thought she could hide it forever, Lauren mused. My phone buzzed again, this time a text from Jake. Mom's sentenced to 3 years. Sophia's divorce is final. I'm moving to Seattle for a fresh start. Thank you for not pressing additional charges. Speaking of Sophia, I said, what do you think she wants? Why don't you ask her yourself? Lauren pointed through the glass walls to where Sophia stood by the reception desk, clutching her designer handbag like a shield. I nodded to Lauren. Send her in. Sophia looked different, less polished, more human. She perched on the edge of the visitor's chair like she might flee at any moment. I got a job offer, she blurted out. A real one, entry-level marketing position. That's good? It's at one of your competitors' firms. She twisted her hands together. I wanted to make sure, I know how it might look. Sophia, I interrupted, are you asking my permission to take a job? I'm asking if you'll give me a reference, she whispered. Everyone knows I'm toxic now because of Mom's scandal, but they also know I'm your former sister-in-law. Your word carries weight. I studied her, this woman who'd watched her mother and brother take advantage of me for years, but also the woman who'd just lost everything and was trying to rebuild. Why should I help you? Because you taught me something, she said, straightening her spine. When everything fell apart, when Mom went to jail and Jake ran away, I realized I'd been living in their shadow just like you were. The difference is, you did something about it. My phone lit up with another message, Mrs. Miller asking about our upcoming charity gala. The same gala the Dunns used to host, where I'd always been seated at the back. The job, I asked Sophia, what exactly would you be doing? Assistant marketing coordinator, basic stuff, social media, event planning. And you'd be okay starting at the bottom? No shortcuts, no family connections? She nodded firmly. I want to earn something for myself, like you did. I opened my laptop, started typing. I'm sending your potential employer an email. I'm going to tell them exactly who you are and what your family did. Sophia's face fell. And then, I continued, I'm going to tell them how you came here today, asking for nothing but a chance to prove yourself, just like I once needed. Tears welled in her eyes. Really? Really? I hit send. But Sophia, don't waste this chance. I won't, she promised, standing up. At the door, she paused. You know, Jake kept your birthday card on his desk, the one you left the night you walked out. I think he finally understood what he lost wasn't just the business. After she left, Lauren brought in coffee. That was generous of you. It was strategic, I corrected her. Sometimes the best way to maintain power is to help others find theirs. My phone buzzed one final time. Zuriel sending a photo of the birthday cake she'd ordered for our celebration dinner tonight. The icing read, "To the woman who made herself impossible to forget." I smiled, looking out at the city skyline. My skyline now. The invisible woman had built her empire, not by tearing others down, but by rising so high they had no choice but to see her. "Lauren," I called out, "let's move that charity gala to the main ballroom and make sure everyone can see who's hosting it now." Sometimes the best endings aren't about revenge at all. They're about becoming exactly who you were meant to be, visible, powerful, and impossible to ignore.